Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today we have a special guest, Vika, and I'm very happy and glad she accept the invitation. By I will prefer to leave her to present how she like and want. Vika, welcome.
Thank you so much, Marius. Thank you for the invite. Yeah, let me introduce myself. I consider myself a transformational guide. I facilitate family constellations. That is one of my main modality. It's not the only one. I work with many different types of work, mainly energetic work. But my focus is on ancestral dynamics and the hidden patterns that we inherit down the family line, where I help people overcome their struggles, self-sabotage, the issues of anger, and different challenges in terms of the blocks that stand in the way towards their success and the fulfilling life.
So, Vika, when you say ancestral alchemy, what do you actually pointing to beyond the words?
Well, that's such a great question. Thank you so much for asking. For me, the main work is actually very simple, and it goes through the heart, our most powerful resource. And when we bring the energy into the heart, we have the power to heal through love. And that's the power that alchemizes the energy that could originally be perceived as anger or grief into the energy of joy and love. And it seems like magic, but it's something that's very much built into the nature of every human. Why I called my company Ancestral Alchemy.
And before you know this path had a name, were you already notice in your life this? If you look in the beginning of your path, maybe.
Yeah. Well, my journey, right, with this work started when I came across the constellator during my travel. But my personal journey and the patterns that I noticed within myself, I think started from childhood, like many of us experience. Through my teenage years, I was what I would now call depressed. It wasn't classified as that way, it was identified as depression. But looking back, I can definitely notice those thoughts that would go through my mind that they did not sound suicidal, but they very much sounded like, I wish I could give my life to somebody else that would do a better job living this experience. I felt ashamed of this gift of living. I felt that I'm not worthy of it. And that also expressed in my skin as a disease, as a rash on my skin all over the body. Going forward through my 20s and 30s, I would go back into that state less and less as I went on my journey. But sometimes it would consume me and I would feel numb, regardless of what success I would achieve professionally or even romantically in my relationship. And that's when I realized that this is repeating and repeating and repeating, no matter how much I try to convince myself that, like, no, life is good, no, nothing bad is happening. I could feel inside that I feel fake, that even when something good comes to me, I feel like imposter, like I don't deserve it, like I will pay the price for it at some point. And I was preparing myself. I was denying myself the excitement of the hope. It would be more like, don't hope much, otherwise you'll get disappointed. And when I started traveling in my early 20s, I started traveling around the world a lot. I still live the life of a digital nomad. And I started meeting those people and some wisdom came towards me. And of course, I journeyed with different shamans and different spiritual people all over the world. And then I came into understanding, like, okay, this is a pattern. This is not just my thing, and I will need support to work through it. And when I came into ancestral healing, it clicked like in one moment. It's like, oh, I understand now. This makes sense now. And that was a great relief. And from that point, it was peeling off the layers, peeling off the layers, peeling off the layers, until one moment I was very clearly sitting across the desk from someone, and feeling that point when my inner talk was no longer degrading. It was no longer abusive towards myself. It was actually uplifting. It was something like, hey, you look great. This is wonderful. Like, this is the best experience ever. Enjoy. And it was very different from what I experienced for, I think, 35 years is when I first experienced that. So that gave me this, okay, this is working. This is making a shift. I need to share it. I need to make sure that every person who is willing has access to this information.
But they help you. I mean, family constellation help you in the beginning in some way? Maybe.
Family constellation wasn't my first modality. Actually, I've been working with feminine divine archetypes for about 10 years until I came across family constellations. But this systemic work gave me language. There was a lot of I sense and I feel, but I can't explain kind of situation. And when I came across Hellinger's work, it was like, okay, now I can explain it to people. This is accessible. When we speak of mom and dad, everybody understand what we mean, right? Versus when I start talking about Persephone or Jesus or Aphrodite, right? It's very different. It feels not as easy to understand, and especially not as easy as embody, rather than when I speak about this is your inner mother, right? That's very different.
Yes, very many aha points directly from the first 10 minutes, I can tell you, I have with you. So, ancestral work more about healing the past or healing the present?
That's a great question, too. We know the power of the now, right? Thank you to Alcartelli. And when we are in the present, it's kind of this holographic reality. Everything to the past and to the future ripples through healing. We always come into the present moment to become available for healing. Once we feel safe enough and supported enough to open ourselves to this healing force, right? Because it's not humans that heal, it's the life force that we surrender to, that we allow ourselves to connect to, that by going through us harmonizes, right? That's what we call healing. It's harmonizing the system. It's synchronizing the elements, putting it in exactly the places they are meant to be. It's the same way music works. It's the same way art works. We resonate with it, right? So align ourselves to the correct frequency to allow that healing to happen. We must be in the present moment. But by the nature of it, by the nature of time, by the nature of human multidimensional existence, ripples through past and the future. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense. It's very deep what you say, but makes sense for me. Do you think what is the role does the body, right? What is the role the body play in holding ancestral memory?
Very important, critical role. The body is how we connect and reconnect. The body is how we understand. The body speaks to us every time, and it's our ability, it's that connection, the trinity, right? The sacred trinity that we have, the mind, the body, and the soul. When we align those three, the access to the life force becomes exponentially wider. When we deny the body and overvalue the mental, which is what we're experiencing in the society right now, we rely on the logic, on this chronos, right? If we say that's in timing, this has to be logical consequences of events, and the reasoning leads to the consequences. When we do that, we deny ourselves. We live from this neck up, and we refuse the wisdom of the body. But it is scientifically proven by now that we have as many neurons in our stomach as we do in our brain, and there's the electromagnetic power of the heart, and we highly underestimate the value of it. All the somatic work, the embodiment work is absolutely the part of ancestral healing. We cannot just analyze it. We cannot only mentally understand it. You can read books and books and books and books, but until you embody it, experience it in your body, the healing doesn't come. It just doesn't happen.
Yes, the somatic work, it's a little bit like this too. So now, because I'm very curious, that's why I have many questions, and maybe like this I learn too, like the listeners maybe. So I like to ask you too about, Vika, the name, I mean the word alchemy. What is being to transform, and what?
The transformation happens on all levels, and it depends on the human design, if we say, or of the person who is asking for transformation, right? Who is stepping into transformation. If I work with someone who is very mental oriented, very intellectual, and requires explanation, then the transformation, the alchemy happens in the shape of the thoughts. So it's, some people may call, reframing of the situation, right? When the perception of the situation changes and the way I experience it is through different thoughts. It could be different internal dialogue. Some people will say it's different parts, right? We have the inner child, and the mother, and the critic. So the connection between those changes, therefore our perception of the world changes. If we look at it from the point of view of transformational experience, right? This such an industry called transformational travel, when we say that the way you look at the world changes, right? So that's more somatic experience, my perception through the eyes. I literally look at the world differently. Some people actually say the colors look different. It's brighter colors as I go through this experience. For people who are more embodied, is the sensation in the body that changes. So the alchemy happens on the level of muscles, bones, the biochemistry within the body. It's biological as well as chemical, as well as somatic, as well as energetic. For some people, it can be expressed like, can breathe again. It's like I forgot what it's like to breathe, and I can breathe freer now. And for some people, it's relationship changes. My relationship with people around me, my relationship with money, my relationship with work, my relationship with my purpose. It's very different depending on what I prioritize in my life. But in general words, of course, in the words that I speak, usually it's my energy changes, my field changes, and therefore my world changes, alchemizes.
So the reality around us, we can say that too, maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course. It's, when I change, everything around me changes.
Yeah, Vika, do you have I don't know, example maybe from your one of your clients, in real life like this, what you can say to us, to me and to the listeners, how you help one, how you help exactly, how you sustain one client in the process, maybe.
Yeah, let me bring that. One of the women that I worked with, and I worked with both men and women, she came in with this shyness, with this difficulty to go through life as she reacted to people in her life, as she would feel very embarrassed, for example, when she had to do public speaking at work and present. And one of the challenges that she had is with technology. So she's very organized, very intellectual, very high professional. But when it comes to getting on Zoom or getting on Google Meet, right? As soon as there's a different button in different place, it's all of her energy just disperses. She gets confused, she gets embarrassed, she doesn't look after time, right? And of course, that impacts how she presents herself, how she becomes visible. Of course, that impacts the level of abundance that she can allow herself, the money that she's asking for, right? So it's all types of relationship. It also impacted her in a way that she was scared of asking for help, and therefore she wouldn't receive it, right? So there's this whole cycle looping in, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. When we worked with her, the first thing, and it's interesting, I mentioned colors earlier, what shifted for her immediately is, first, she's seen the opportunity of technology. There was no longer scarcity between me and technology. She could experience in her body, and the way she experienced it, right? I said many people experience it differently. The way she experienced it, oh my God, it's like I was black and white and now I'm in color. No, like it's right away it gives you that image. It's my life is now colorful and I am now colorful. It's like you don't know that you're black and white until there's new colors, right? You don't know that you're blind until you do the LASIK
You
surgery,
see.
right? Or you see the colors for the first time. It's kind of you're blind to your own blindness. And that work expanded her. But of course, it wasn't just about technology. It was about the shift of her relationship. When we connect heart to heart, right, and it's towards the people in her life as well, she immediately experienced of the exchange that happens on that heart-to-heart level when we surrender into our interconnectedness. So from that point, her asking for help no longer felt like she's asking for a favor, she owes something to a person. But because she experienced the connection back, that flow of energy back, she felt the equality in it. And she embodied, somatically experienced the level of back favor that she gives to another person as an opportunity to
Mm,
serve. Because she
wow.
lives in service, right? And another person meets her by living in service. And that's mutual empowerment leads to the way that now she's empowered to serve people on the Zoom call, for example, right? The audience on her Zoom call, who is sharing her knowledge with. So each one of them is now empowered by her knowledge, and she is empowered by that neighbor who was willing to help her with technology. And that neighbor is empowered by being in service to her neighbor. So it seems like it's a one-person thing. And we started from a very small thing. Technology is challenging for me. But when we spread it, when we activated the whole network of community, and then we can expand it to ancestral network as well, which is people before me, people after me. Now we empowering the whole community through this work, future and past and present. So it's the ripple effect of this work that creates this huge change, the alchemy, as we started from the beginning.
Yeah. Was a book also about alchemy, and I can send you the link, or maybe you have read about it. It's very, very interesting. But it's like a story about one guy, who go through many, many things. Wow, very interesting. A lot of deep understanding of meaningful insights you give me. I can tell you. So now I want to shift a little bit and to understand more, because in these days we many, especially in this community of spirituality, many people speak about trauma. Trauma, personal trauma, I don't know, family traumas, you name it, different types of trauma. So now the question for you is: can ancestral pain be transformed without revealing the trauma?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the short answer. We don't need to go into the details of what happened if we work at the level of the energetics or somatics. So there are multiple ways to kind of address it. One of the consequences of trauma, I'll just define trauma. Trauma is something that happened too fast, was too much, and you were in it alone. The three elements that create trauma. So trauma is different for different people, right? But once we unlock at least one of those elements, it reshapes itself in our psyche and therefore in our body. What happens during trauma is the same thing that happens during physical trauma, right? The body contracts. So there's a punch happen, the inflammation happen, the body creates the protection around it, right? So the bodily level of creating this inflammation is protection, so no impact can be done to the spot that got traumatized, right? So we have the same mechanism in a emotional body. Once our psyche hits the trauma, that spot contracts, we suppress it and put the guardian. The guardian to make sure it's like inflammation, to make sure there's no access to that place, right? What we over time forget is that we ourselves put the guardian, and therefore the guardian serves us. The guardian is often expressed as anxiety or anger. Two ways, right? Either we blame the world or we blame ourselves. internal, external, introverts, extroverts. It depends, again, on our design, on how we were built. And it may be different for different situations. I may react as a negative self-talk in one situation, and I may react as anger in a different situation, right? So any aggression, it's a defense mechanism. As soon as you see aggression, you can tell this is the guardian speaking. Right? This is your protection mechanism that protects something vulnerable. So number one thing that we need to do is to reassign the job to the guardian. Another way, I have to bring myself to the level of safety where I am allowed to remember that I'm the one who assigned the guardian, connect to the guardian, and instead of trying to fix the guardian or change the guardian, now we're going to bring the alchemy of love, the alchemy of heart. I thank the guardian for the service. That's where the alchemical part begins. I don't need to remove it. I don't need to fight my anxiety. And I don't need to manage my anger. I need to thank my anger for doing the job that I assigned to it, which is protecting me. That's step number one, right? So no matter what happened during trauma, no matter how the trauma was created, you don't need to tell me what happened. You just need to tell me what you experience. So if your experience is anger, or your experience is anxiety, or your experience is procrastination, I know this is what's happening. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to bring up that energy of anger or anxiety or procrastination and bow to it in gratitude. And it's my presence and my love that alchemizes that. And then I wait. I just offer my presence and I wait until it's enough for that energy of protection to get alchemized, right? I'm not doing the alchemy. I'm not fixing. I'm not healing. I'm not pushing. All I'm doing is offering my presence. And under my presence, the sacred presence of the observer, that energy alchemizes, transforms. Once it transforms, it gives me access to the vulnerable part. And again, to the vulnerable part, I don't need to know what happened. What I know is that you are not safe. And I'm going to offer my presence to establish the connection. Right? And if I experienced trauma back in 2 years old and now I'm 50, that means for 48 years, I did not have the connection. So why would that part trust me? Makes no sense, right? It's like, would you come to someone you've never seen or haven't seen in 48 years? It's like, trust me, I got you. They're like, I don't think so, right? So we establish this connection and we offer presence and little by little we build that. And it actually happens much, much faster than we could imagine it because there's innocence in that part, right? And when you come to it, again, very important, from the heart, every energy subconsciously feels our presence. If I come to it with, I need to remove you, I need to stop procrastinating, you're not going to do anything, you're not going to get anywhere because you're trying to remove it.
Exactly. It's a little bit maybe like in IFS, they work with, of course, you work in different levels, the energy too, so that is powerful. But in IFS too, they look to the parts, right? Carl Jung, he wrote a lot about the parts, So maybe somewhere me, when I was 5 years old, it's happening something that I understand, or my body or my molecules, they understand, this is a trauma now, so I must be careful in the future. So now in the age of 40, you must stay down and go back to understand what's happening there. So it's a form of healing, this too. But of course, it's more expansive what you do, what you work with. So Vika, where the listener and the people can find you? How it's more comfortable for you to come in contact with you, the listeners?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm very easy to find. I'm active on Facebook. That's my main platform. I also do a lot of free webinars and free journeys. We just finished a journey called Permission to be Seen, where we explored those parts you were talking about, the inner child and the protector and the guardian, and worked more with that. And I also have a a few great tools that you can just take advantage of while you have me here. I'll leave you the link so people can find that and connect to me through that. It's a result of my relationship with technology. It's a
Right,
artificial
exactly.
intelligence tool.
Yeah, exactly. You tell me about it. Some IE project what you have, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And yeah, will be amazing if you share how you want to connect artificial intelligence with spirituality. Will be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the topic right now. It's talked about a lot in the spiritual circles, right? The way I see it is AI is a great support in preparing us for diving in, because it can interact with you, right? So it's like I put in all of my years of work plus the publicly available knowledge in family constellations, and I designed it to ask the questions that would give you your dominant hidden family dynamic. It's like, this is your most active pattern right now. This is like, if you start working with that,
Wow.
it will give you great shift. Yeah. It doesn't, because it's works based on the past, right? Like, it's artificial intelligence is something that works based on the library of the past. It doesn't exist in the doesn't interact in the present moment. Once you got to the point of like, okay, based on my past, it can analyze it and show me this is the repetitive pattern in my life. Now I can go into the guide, go to the family constellation and explore it myself, feel into it, right? So like AI cannot feel for you, but it can take you to a place from which you can enter, the door entrance. So when you come to me and say, and I host those decoding sessions, so it's called the lineage pattern decoder. It asks you a few questions. It's specifically designed to help you with decision-making process. So it's going to ask you, like, when you make a decision, what are those things you consider? What's active for you right now? And it will come up with the patterns of like, this is your dominant pattern, and maybe there's a secondary pattern that influences your decisions, right? When you make it out of fear, when you make it out of ancestral entanglement, then you come to me and we get on a call. It's like, okay, this is what AI gave me, and this is how I experienced it in my life. And then we go into, okay, let me step into the field with you. Let me connect heart to heart with you. Let's feel into this. Let's see how we can release it. It saves a lot of time. Honestly, I spend hours and hours before with people going like, okay, tell me this, tell me more, what else happened? And now when they come to a session with me, I already know. I don't have to ask them. I do ask them their family history, right? Because I have to hear this emotional charge, right? It's based on the somatic experience, but based on the resonance is how we start working. But it's a great, great assistant. I love working with AI that way.
Yes, AI, like I said, many people speak about in these days about it, even in this community of spirituality. So when we think about AI, we think about machine learning. When we think about machine learning, it's little bit like our patterns, if you want. They know what was in the past, but not really. They can not see or go in proximity maybe to the future, or give you another solution, if I say like that. So now the question, what because I think too, and I like to work with IE, and some processes I semi-automatize, if I can say like this. Sometimes they can speak for me, sometimes they can do a lot of things what I don't have the time maybe, or I think is boring. So the question is now, do you think IE can take over the spirituality world and all this community?
I cannot tell for the future. We don't know, right? Would be probably the most honest answer. Right now, the way it is built, the way it is designed, the way it is progressing, it is learning a lot. It is great in recognizing the patterns, absolutely. But there is one thing that AI doesn't have. It doesn't have creativity on its own. It doesn't have imagination. It's one thing we can say, analyze the patterns for me. That's what happened in the past. That's what I did. That's what the pattern, that's my behavioral pattern, right? But as you step into, we connect. So for example, one of the meditation I often start my sessions with is growing the roots into the ground. And the step I love adding is interact with the roots of others. So we work in the group setting. One of the ways to feel safe in a group environment energetically is to ground yourself, right? Like physically ground yourself into the space. And then one more, acknowledge the presence of the roots of others. You can train AI to say it, but it doesn't have that capacity. It doesn't have this capability to experience that. I find it's a great help in automating the processes that can be repeated, saving us time, right? It's amazing in doing that. It's amazing in connecting things technologically. It's amazing in building. I wouldn't be able to do my work if AI wasn't there right now. Like, I used to work in marketing, right, in a tech company. And what I used to spend weeks and weeks, I can do in 1 hour right now.
So you have tech background, tech.
I have the
Okay.
tech background, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I worked with technology many
Nice.
years before I started this work. And I'm grateful for it, for everything it does. And I'm very aware of limitations and the dangers of it. So there's definitely, like any technology, if we over-rely on it, we become addicted, we become dependent on it. We lose our own sovereignty. What we experience with social media right now, right? It's a great tool. It's a great way to connect. As a person who travels a lot, this is one of the best way for me to keep connection to the communities all over the world. However, if I'm not using it with awareness, mindfulness, and consciousness, I may get lost in it. However, there's a lesson for me, right? There's opportunity for me to practice my sovereignty, to practice returning to my inner center rather than allowing distraction take me away. This is all, it's like yoga, right? It's where it's like
Yes.
pull and push. It's where the stability is, where the union is. It's the opportunities for us to upgrade to the new level of spirituality when the dependency is right into our face. Like, it's right there. You can see dependency, right? It's in your hand, it's in your phone, it's on your computer. It's right there. You don't have to think about it anymore like it was a century ago.
Right. Vika, if you have a message for the world, what will be?
That's okay. I haven't thought about it. Let me see if I can find the words. If I were to speak to spiritual people who are very familiar with the concept, I would say the deeper the roots, the higher the branches. If I was to present in a political arena, I would say we can't build a future without healing the past. We need the common story. We need the shared experiences. We need to heal what happened in the past and receive it as is, so we don't repeat it. So we don't continue this loop of unresolved conflicts and rage and revenge and terrorism. So I would love to bring that knowledge and the ancestral wisdom to the educational system, to the political system, to the way we build communities, and to the way we raise our families. That would be my message.
Artificial intelligence, of course.
Through heart-to-heart connection.
Okay, sorry. I feel that, it's like two in the final, two artificial intelligence. Wow, amazing, Vika. I would like to thank you. You give me a lot of insights in this episode, this conversation with masters. So thank you very much again. You take your time and you sign up, if I can say like that, to the episode. My name is Marius,
Thank you,
and thank
Marius.
you for listening.